Hello everybody, Christina here, and today we're going to be drawing something that is very much inspired by a song that I kind of had a phase with for a little while and wanted to do a drawing for. I'm going to leave it at that for the moment so that we can get right into the drawing, but just know that I consider this very unfinished and I want to take another crack at it in the future. So let's get drawing and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. Alright, so basically there's this song called I'm a Little Sad Tonight, and the opening lines in that song are, woke up with all my feelings tied in knots. And so that's what really drove the inspiration for this drawing, and the idea behind it was to have someone who kind of looks like me, someone I can relate to, sitting there crisscross applesauce, kind of listening to her heart and her brain, which are sitting kind of alongside her with all of the headphone earbud wires all tangled up in knots in her lap, basically. And so you can kind of see that I was trying to get at that, especially with the line art here, but it didn't ring home in the final piece, and that's where I think in a future version I would want to kind of use an actual headset kind of earphone that she's listening to and kind of give the wires a little bit more life, more highlights, more tangled upness, maybe like a bigger pile of wires in her lap, basically, to really drive home that idea. And also, I didn't entirely love the colors that I chose on this one. I've been playing around for a long time with trying to do the kind of Instagram style colors that I see a lot of times, where it's very pastel and it's very kind of light, drawn back, muted colors. And that's just not a style that I'm used to. So this was one of my first tries in doing that, and it didn't really come across, even though I really like what I did with some of the purples and pinks and stuff in this one. And the grays, I think, turned out really well. I think I really struggled with the highlights on her skin, etc., etc. But you'll see a little bit more of that later in the video. So let's just talk kind of my approach to this. Basically, I had an idea of the pose I wanted my character to be in and all of that good stuff, so I looked up some reference photos, did a little bit of a cursory sketch in light blue. I think I might return to sketching in light blue because the red really kind of drags me down, hurts my eyes. I definitely got used to drawing in light blue when I was in high school, and I did it in colored pencil so that I could scan my artwork into a regular computer, and then I could edit it from there instead of just drawing directly on a tablet because I just didn't have the technology yet. So anyway, I digress. Light blue sketch, and then the line work on top like I've done in my other videos. And from there, I just did color flats, and then I made clipping masks out of each of them. I think I did skin, hair, sweatshirt, pants, and then the heart and brain are their own color flat as well. And you can see that I started doing all of the color in her skin and her hoodie and everything, and I really didn't like it. And I didn't fully enjoy what I had done with her face either, so I erased all of it, and now you can see me kind of readjusting that. And I wanted her to be kind of surprised and sleepy, and kind of get across that depressed vibe, and I don't think that came across in the end character's expression at all, which is another reason that I would really like to redo this piece. But for the time being, I think I did a really good job with what I had, and obviously I have my reservations about this piece, but the colors were kind of a new thing, and I'm glad that I got the chance to play with them in the way that I did here. And now that I have more experience with just doing color in a digital space, really, I think I'd be more capable of doing what I had originally in my brain. It's just a matter of getting the time to sit down and retry this sketch. But there are some good things about it. You know, like I said, the color was something new. I really like the purples that I went with for her skin. I think that that really muted everything in a way that I wanted it to. It's just the highlights that were yellow that I wasn't as much of a fan of. And I really like the line art that I did, other than the face, obviously. I think that that turned out pretty well, and there are some tweaks that I want to do to that in the next version of this, but I think it really worked out pretty well. And as far as the background goes, we'll get to that momentarily on the screen here, but I really enjoyed the putting together that background, and I've used it for multiple pieces since drawing this. For those of you who haven't caught on, I drew this like 4 or 5 months ago, maybe, and it was really before I got into drawing like cartoon sort of things, you know, with my digital drawing tablet. This was when I was really starting out on my drawing tablet and doing more than just trying to trace things. And so I really like the cartoon style that kind of came out of this. I think that it lent well, and I just have to find a way to drive home the message that I was trying to put forth a little bit more. I digress. So I talked about the background. That was a really fun project in and of itself. The brain was kind of a fun thing to do because it's at a weird angle compared to the reference photos that I found on Google. So I kind of had to make up my own brain wrinkles, more or less, but I think that the colors I chose really lent towards a brain pretty well. So it turned out really well, and I think that the heart could use some work color-wise. I don't think the yellows worked with it at all, and I think it could even lean towards the purples, like the brain did, in less of a gray tone kind of a way, but I think that there's a place for making that heart stand out less and kind of work with the rest of the piece more. But, oh, and here we go. We're starting the background. And you can see I kind of just started with a gradient in the background and then started putting in little octagons. They're not octagons, they're hexagons in the background that were kind of little bursts of light in the nighttime kind of thing, kind of an homage to I'm a Little Sad Tonight. And I tried to vary the colors that I put in there and the different sizes of the lights, and I think that it could have had more of a blur effect on the majority of them, but I also felt like I was going to overdo it and then it was gonna lose sort of that shape that I put into it. But overall, I still reuse this background, so I might tweak it in the future, but it looks pretty good, and I like that I made it a circle behind her. I might change that in future versions, just because I'm not sure, as far as the composition goes, if I'm really the biggest fan of that, because of how her and her brain and her crisscross applesauce legs kind of make a circle anyway. I digress. We'll figure that out with the next one, honestly. This is the finished piece. Not a whole lot to say about it anymore, but I enjoyed making it, and I'm just trying to kind of map out in my head how I'm going to change the next version. I definitely want to tell you guys to check out I'm a Little Sad Tonight by Sue Lee. I will link it down in the description. I listened to it on Spotify, but I'm sure you can find it on YouTube and wherever else. I am going to get going for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you get a full 1,000 experience points. I forgot to give you experience points in the last video, but you definitely got them if you got through the whole thing. Thank you so much for your support. It's been an absolute wild ride, and I'm trying to get ahead of videos now so that I'm not constantly kind of rushing through them, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I will let you go, get on with your day. Thank you so much. Give the video a little love, share it with your friends, because your friends deserve to know a cool person like me. And we will talk to you next Wednesday. Peace.